With a 125th birthday to celebrate, the question today on The Express is, Vancouver, who are we? On today's show,
brings forward some of the lesser-known aspects of Vancouver.
We Vancouver, 12 manifestos of the city.
It's meant to represent the kind of diversity of people that make up the city.
MASH notes at the Museum of Vancouver.
Find creative ways to get citizens talking, thinking, and learning about our own architecture.
It's basically a celebration of stories of Vancouver, and all these stories make up what Vancouver is.
SFU's Tales from Terminal City.
One of the things that's really attracted me out here so far is the scenic value of Vancouver itself.
So you guys move the swings.
The City of Vancouver's new mural project.
It's the first mural that I've done that really required a very schematic approach.
See that and more local expression. Welcome to The Express. I'm Johanna Ward at the Vancouver Art Gallery. This year marks Vancouver's 125th, and its year as the cultural capital of Canada. So what does the city have to say for itself? Well, you can consider today's show our version of the Vancouver Special. Up first, MASH Notes shows us how architecture plays a big role in the development of a city, its ability, its identity, and its culture.
The Museum of Vancouver has a new exhibit called MASH Notes, a high-tech interactive display that engages the viewer in a conversation about Vancouver's architecture and city planning.
The world is really looking at Vancouver. We've become a city that sort of attracted global interest. And so while we really feel it's important to also sort of look at the past, we see it's important to actually cast ahead into the future as well. And so we've been looking at the way the city's built, the architecture of the city. And we've put together a project that's brought together local architects, our team here, and really interesting interactive designers in the city to find creative ways to get citizens talking, thinking, and learning about our own architecture.
Visitors to the museum can answer a few key questions by texting in their answer and watching their vote get counted. They can also visit one of several kiosks distributed around the city and make sure their opinions are heard.
The thing that has been the most fun for me, and I think that got us to get involved in this project was about taking the museum to the street. And then it's not something that you see every day. And the goal of the exhibit is, this is a series about architectural topic for the city and where the city is going.
By the answers and opinions expressed, you can see where the city's going, and you can also walk through the museum to see where the city has been in its 125 years of history.
So this is just a little taste of our enormous fashion collection. We have sort of costume and fashion from the turn of the century. It gives a feel for really the sort of privilege and what sort of people's lifestyles were like at that time. So you'll see everything from some of the earliest artifacts that look at sort of the resource industries, logging, how people found themselves here. We'll move into this sort of influx of new Canadians from all over the world. And there's a lot of social history here. So we look at, for instance, the internment of Japanese Canadians during the Second World War and the impact that that's had on the city. This image is a picture of a Japanese Canadian man who's just had his property confiscated and is considered an enemy alien.
You'll see artifacts from the wartime era, then into the post-war 1950s.
What it shows is kind of this growing car culture as Vancouver sort of became part of the sort of North American drive to make cars the center of everything. And neon was sort of part of the way that we caught people as they were moving through the city.
Years from now, I wonder what they'll say.
If you come to the Museum of Vancouver, you can kind of get a sense of some of the key milestones along the way, and you kind of root yourself in an understanding of where we've been. And I think that that's a way, and a lot of us here at the museum believe that that's how we're going to chart a really great sort of future moving forward, really understanding the lessons and some of the key sort of historical moments of the past.
The Museum of Vancouver is preserving the memories of 125 years of our city's history, while igniting conversation about the future. I'm Kendall Harris for The Express.
There are a number of permanent exhibitions at the museum exploring Vancouver's history. And in honor of Vancouver's 125th, here at the Art Gallery, they have a new exhibit exploring what makes Vancouver special. We Vancouver, 12 manifestos for the city.
We Vancouver is an exhibition that represents the city of Vancouver and how we as individuals, as producers, can actually change the city. So we really wanted the exhibition to reflect that kind of need for change and that urgency for change as well. So we felt that the manifesto was a great way to bring all of these different things together and reflect that sense of movement and sense of change.
So the Vancouver Public Space Network believes that our manifesto fits in with the other 12 here at the We Vancouver exhibit because it's an integral part of the way we want to see the city grow in the future and include people in public spaces. So we do a lot of serious stuff like writing letters to council, but really we want to get the word out there. We want to engage people in how fun public spaces can be and how important they are in that kind of way.
I have to admit, if I was on the SkyTrain and all of a sudden it erupted into a party, I wouldn't know if I was like in a flash mob or just some kind of like crazy skit, but it seems like a really cool idea.
It's really fun, and we try and work with TransLink to make sure that other passengers are disrupted and that they can get where they want to go without too much discomfort if that's not their scene.
And is it legal? I mean, that's the thing I always wonder.
Yeah.
You're allowed to party on the SkyTrain.
We all pay our fares. And it's like we're taking a trip, but we're just dressed in really funky stuff and having a really good time.
It sounds like a nice way to commute. I like it.
Yeah, could do it every day.
So the exhibition really brings forward some of the lesser known aspects of Vancouver that you wouldn't necessarily see just on the surface.
The Vancouver Specials, such a signature part of our city, but you're looking at it much more deeply than the average person.
I suppose I am. I mean, I just started by taking pictures of them because I thought really that there was this huge part of our city that really wasn't documented. There was an era where a lot of fairly ordinary people could afford a really big house all of a sudden, and they could put up these palaces, and yet it's kind of looked down on because it was considered poor design at the time. They were considered ugly, and there's a class barrier happening as well.
So we is simply a pronoun, and it's meant to represent the kind of diversity of people that make up the city.
We have more erased histories in Vancouver than we have actual history. Like the length of our history as a city is very, very short. But if you were to put all the neglected histories together, it's very, very long, and they're very rich. I think that's a big part of the dynamism of the city.
We Vancouver runs until May 1st here at the Vancouver Art Gallery, and later on today's Express we'll explore one of the other manifestos featuring SFU's new University Child Care Centre. But right now it's SFU's Tales from Terminal City. It's a community art project interpreting Vancouver's 125th.
Imagine a birthday party where your friends get together to create a painting of you. Well, that's what Vancouver is getting for its 125th birthday from the Tales from Terminal City workshop put on by SFU's undergraduate semester in Dialogue.
It's basically a celebration of stories of Vancouver. So any birthday party is celebrating, who that person is, and all these stories make up what Vancouver is.
Everyone's getting a small canvas to create something that represents their story of Vancouver.
Take your canvas and really think of an image. Anybody can take an image or a concept or a story and put it on their canvas with whatever mediums they like.
The visual dialogue often leads to verbal dialogue. Isaac, what are you making right now?
I moved out here from Ontario, and one of the things that's really attracted me out here so far is the scenic value of Vancouver itself with the mountains, the ocean, and what I left behind was the snow, which is so glad that we don't get a lot of it out here.
I'm going to put building blocks up on top. So it's just more of a sense that Vancouver is a conglomerate of like random pieces, but when put together, it's actually, you can come up with something really quite unique and beautiful. Moved here from the Philippines, so I'm one of the blocks. Building on what's already been, built before me.
I think they can really tap into their creative side. Dialogue is a lot about communicating with one another, and we often think of it as talking, but I think in the art workshop we can see that people can also communicate and share their stories through creative, visual art. In the end, it's going to be a pixelation of stories.
I'm Erin Shaw in Vancouver for The Express.
The Tales from Terminal City event also featured tours of beautiful Granville Island and gardening workshops. You're watching The Express, and we have more on Vancouver's big birthday coming up.
After the break,
this is the last real old-style Chinese restaurant left in Vancouver's Chinatown.
Foo's Ho Ho serves up a little Chinatown history. A look back at the Lee Building on Main Street.
These are the original boilers, this one and that one from 1912.
You're watching local TV on The Express.
Community programming on Shaw has been generously sponsored in part by...
The Express is brought to you in part by Plum, fashion supplier to host Johanna Ward.